My name is Todd Kirsch. I work for Domtar, senior account manager with some national account responsibilities as well.
What have been some highlights of your career thus far?
So I've been doing this I've been with Domtar 26 plus years, most in sales, 20 plus years in sales. And, several highlights, a couple of highlights is just really the meeting different people, traveling to different places, seeing different organizations. It's a pretty tight industry. You might see people move around a little bit from one place to another, but great people in the industry. And, one thing one of the highlights is just really going to a paper mill. I think everybody should be able to go to a paper mill, and it never gets old. And doing it 20 some years, especially when you get to take customers to a paper mill and let them experience everything from start to finish, from the trees and the end result and so forth. That is really a highlight every time I get to do it. And then, it's kind of a little bit more specific, I guess, is I've been introduced to some national account responsibilities. And I really enjoy that because you get a little broader range of people all across North America. A lot of my work is kind of regional or local in the Southeast or New England, whatever it may be. But the national account work enables you to really get people and travel to different places all around North America and experience, whether it's Canada or Southern California, whatever it is. That's been a highlight as well.
What do you most enjoy about working in the paper industry?
Well, a couple things jump to mind. Number one, kind of going back to the first question, it's the relationships, whether it's relationships internally with my colleagues and coworkers or relationships with customers. And the great thing about working in this industry and being in sales and working with whether it's end users or printers is you get to deal with so many people throughout the levels of an organization, whether it's the top executives, the owners, the vice presidents, down to customer service folks and purchasing and salespeople, and people working on the presses and working in shipping and drivers. It's just there's nothing, no stone unturned when it comes to being able to work with. You're not just going in somewhere and seeing the executive. You're not just going in to see salespeople. And then beyond that, I work a lot with merchant customers, our distributors. So being able to work with them at all those different levels, but also being able to meet their customers and ideally being able to meet end users as well. I mean, that's a very cool situation when you can get engaged at all those levels, from distribution to a printer to the actual end user of the product. That's really special when you can kind of put all those things together. But it's really working with so many different people in levels of organizations.
Are there specific ways in which Domtar is approaching a return to normal business operations?
Well, yeah, and I probably step back a little bit and go back 15 months to when this all started. Domtar's always followed the government regulations nationally, as well as local guidelines. It might be different than national kind of guidelines when it comes to safety protocols. So, right out of the chute back on May 13th, I think it was March 13th of last year, when we kind of shut it down essentially on a Friday, came back to work virtually on the following Monday. The safety's been certainly the main priority, whether it's for our workers, my colleagues, our customers, and so forth. So there certainly was a period of time where there was no travel, and everything was virtual meetings and phone calls and that kind of thing for Domtar, as well as pretty much everybody else during back a year or so. But the fortunate thing when it comes to our supply chain, we have a very vast network of machines and converting locations and distribution centers, which allows for some redundancy. If there's certain things going on at one location, we have redundancy to be able to fill orders from multiple places. And our supply chain never saw any disruptions during all of COVID, whether it's making paper, converting paper, shipping paper, distributing it, carriers. None of that saw any distribution. So, we pretty much went all virtual there for a while. And even today, 15 months later, many of our commercial team is still working remotely. And we're doing a lot of kind of little things to prepare for that to come back on board over the next couple months. Summer's a little hard with school and kids and all that. So you kind of uh, putting all kinds of little things in redoing desks in our office, higher cubicles, maybe a staggered kind of a work schedule for people where we have a lot of people in one area, say it's customer service or our planning group. So a lot of little things like that before we completely ramp back up. But we're pretty close to that. And then as far as travel goes, I'll talk a little bit more about that in the next couple questions. But we've gradually taken baby steps as far as getting out to see people. Again, safety is the biggest thing. I mean, there's still customers that may not even want to see people still to this day. Vaccinations are helping and so forth, but it's been baby steps. You got to read your customers and what they want to have. And at first, we were able to go see customers only in kind of essential situations, which I'll talk about in I think the next question as well. So that's kind of really how it's been over the last 15 months or so. We've seen no business disruption other than obviously the economy has taken a pretty big hit. But as far as being able to do what we do, which is make paper and convert paper and sell paper, we've done that pretty seamlessly.
Sorry. How are you personally navigating the gradual return to normalcy in your current role?
Well, quite honestly, I've been chomping at the bit for, since last summer, probably when, we got through the worst of it. But baby steps and being patient and for a while it was, no customer visits unless it's an essential reason, whether it's a quality thing you got to work on or whether there's a big opportunity or jeopardize, a piece of business maybe jeopardized. It's just really specific. You got to go to that kind of thing, which really, in the whole scheme of things, there's not that many of those kind of things. So it was really kind of slow for a while. And then we gradually, we were able to get in the car and go see customers. So that, at least get you out a little bit, drivable, not getting on airplanes, that type of thing. But still, again, safety was the biggest thing and making sure customers were willing to see you. You can't just show up at people's doors anymore. I mean, that's just, I don't know if we'll ever get back to that. We probably will to some extent, but really making sure that the customer wants to see you and you have something valuable to do. Virtual meetings have been great, and we will continue. Like you said, that's going to be a part of our lives, I think, moving forward, as long as they're meaningful. But it's really just been baby steps and getting back out there. We're now able to get on airplanes, and I'm vaccinated, so certainly that gives you a little bit more of a comfort level. So we've kind of loosened the reins a little bit, and just judging from talking to customers and seeing customers, everybody wants to get back to normal when we can do the things we used to do and go visit printing plants and meet the people and so forth. So the bottom line is it's just been a little bit of patience and baby steps, and I think we're almost there.
Can you talk about some of the emerging leader initiatives that you're excited to be a part of this year?
Yeah, we've had a handful of meetings. I can't remember when this first group got together, 4 or 5 months ago, but it's really it's my first year on it, and there's a handful of people that it's their first year as well. It's really hearing the best practices from other people in the industry, whether they're in distribution, whether they're on the mill side, just hearing best practices. A lot of our discussions have not necessarily focused around COVID, but ultimately you kind of get to that topic, like, making sales calls during COVID and cross training during COVID. And I think there's a lot of things that we've learned during that again, we will be able to carry over. Not everything does have to be done in person, but it's really getting the best hearing the best practices from some of my industry colleagues, not Domtar colleagues, but industry colleagues, and hearing how they're doing things at their company, and not specifics, kind of trade kind of things, but just overall, working together and making sales calls. We all have customers and working with customers, and how doing it over the last year has been so different but also we've been able to learn a lot and taken that forward. So that's the biggest thing that I've gotten out of it, is hearing how, a lot of the things we're doing are the same as other people are doing, but somebody always has something that we hadn't thought of or is a great idea, and you're able to kind of carry those back into your roles within your company as well.
Do you have any last minute sound bites or bits of advice for your fellow paper industry professionals as we continue to navigate back to this return to normalcy?
I think, like I said, we're all looking forward to getting a little bit back to normal. Let's all just be safe doing it, and uh, take our times and get back to where we were in a little bit of a different world, but better in some cases when we've been able to learn so many things during the last year on how to conduct business and how to work with customers, how to work internally as well.